President Petro is one of the few world leaders willing to publicly criticize President Trump.
What do you think of President Trump? What do you think history will say about him?
He's a barbarian, but anyone can change, he said. President Trump has put sanctions on President Petro, putting him in the same league as Venezuela's President Maduro. In neighboring Colombia, President Gustavo Petro has suspended intelligence cooperation with the U.S., opposed to deadly American strikes on boats in the region allegedly carrying narcotics. I met with Mr. Petro in the presidential palace in Bogota for his first interview since that controversial move.
Do you believe that the ships that have been attacked by the United States were carrying drugs?
Maybe or maybe not. We do not know, he said, adding, they are poor boatmen hired by gangsters. The gangsters don't sit on the boats.
A current Colombian military official, a senior official, told me that the most valuable tool that they have to fight against the drug traffickers is intelligence and intelligence sharing. So why would you possibly limit that?
Clave es la inteligencia.
Intelligence is key. The more we coordinate, the better. But intelligence is not for killing, he said.
Meanwhile, the old societies of Europe are collapsing, and the United States is applauding its new Hitler. It's not listening to its own young people or its older people who died in Europe in the battlefields of Europe fighting against Hitler and against his criminal ideology. Today, the same thing is being done as Hitler did, building concentration camps for migrants.
The UK has suspended intelligence sharing with the US over concerns of recent strikes on drug boats. The decision was made after several suspected drug trafficking vessels in the Caribbean were targeted by the US. Britain claims it doesn't want to replicate America's military strikes because it believes the attacks are illegal. It marks a significant break from its closest ally, previously helping the US find vessels suspected of carrying drugs.
US forces have killed 14 people in strikes carried out on 4 alleged drug boats in the Pacific. So it's the latest operation in Trump's campaign to target drug trafficking. At least 57 people have been killed in these strikes as, of course, tensions rise between US and Venezuelan governments. I mean, it's pretty extraordinary. You know, I think the first hearing about this news, however long ago it was, and now another strike, another 14 people killed. I mean, I'm supporting Donald Trump for protecting America and keeping drug traffickers away from the country, but it's a pretty extraordinary use of power.
Look, I have always said, over and over again, I am against the increased executive power that we've seen over the decades. It hasn't just been Trump, it also was under Joe Biden, it was under Obama. But this is a little bit different because the foreign policy is truly within the sphere of the presidency, right? So I don't have an issue with that. And look, the extraordinary thing to me is the Democrats are attacking him for this, okay? You know, I got a suggestion. If you're a drug dealer and you don't want to be blown up, don't bring drugs to America. I don't know, crazy idea. Just don't do it and you're not going to find yourself dead in the ocean. right? Okay, piece of advice to all the drug dealers out there, free advice. But this is more than just, look, first of all, it's a massive problem for the United States, right? The drug problem, the fentanyl problem is out of control in the United States. So that's one area on why this has to be done. The second is, this is more than just tactical, this is strategic. This is China, Venezuela, our enemies, trying to flood our markets with these dangerous drugs as a weapon, as a soft war against us. And that's what he's doing. He's prosecuting essentially a soft war. And the Venezuelan government is part of this process. They're not just, these drug dealers are not just finding their way secretly on the coast of Venezuela and moving across the border. This is the outward support of Maduro and the Venezuelan government and his military and everything involved in the structures of governance to make sure that these drugs are being sent to our shores. So I applaud him for it, but the shocking thing to me, the Democrats are not standing with us, except, of course, John Fetterman. I shine this guy so much. I should be cleaning shoes in the streets of Broadway. Okay, I'm sorry, but and by the way, he votes not regularly with Donald Trump, but when the things are obvious to him, I appreciate the fact that he stands up for it, and for that, the Democrats are trying to primary him and get rid of a reasonable Democrat in the Senate.
Finally, JD Vance insists that the ceasefire is holding in Gaza despite the recent attacks. Benjamin Netanyahu confirmed that powerful strikes have been launched in Gaza and, of course, accused Hamas of violating the ceasefire. This is what JD Vance had to say.
The president achieved a historic peace in the Middle East. The ceasefire is holding. That doesn't mean that there aren't going to be little skirmishes here and there. We know that Hamas or somebody else within Gaza attacked an IDF soldier. We expect the Israelis are going to respond. But I think the president's peace is going to hold despite it.
JD Vance is downplaying this, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Look, clearly there has been violation on the Hamas side, and Israel is within the right to respond, and they have. I don't think they've taken it beyond a measured response to what Hamas has done. I think, look, one of the major issues for the Israelis on this, on how they're breaking the ceasefire is they're not giving back the hostages. And in fact, there's now credible evidence that they're trying to even bury even more deeply the remains of the hostages because I think they don't want us to see what happened. They don't want the world to see what they did to these people. So they're not giving back these particular bodies who I think were tortured in terrible, horrible ways. In fact, the Egyptians just sent over the border bulldozing equipment to help them find it. And there's evidence that they're actually using that equipment to deeper bury these bodies.
Horrific.
So this is who you're dealing with.
Yeah.
I actually am still more optimistic than pessimistic that this will hold and there will be a ceasefire. But when you're dealing with Hamas, this is to be expected.
Ami Horowitz, thank you so much for your time.
Such a pleasure.